Hey guys, my name is Hop, and I like guns. I like guns more than the average person. I probably like guns more than the average gun owner. I started shooting seriously about 10 years ago, and since then guns have gone from being a hobby to a passion to being a full-time job. If you are charitable enough to describe being a gun YouTuber as a job.
Hop, your shirt's getting f***ing wrecked.
No, it's just, I didn't know it was a white shirt when I bought it. I thought it was like khaki.
In September of this year, I went down to Utah for a shoot with Brassfax, and one of the things I took with me was this 10-year-old copy of Recoil magazine. This issue is dated from September of 2014, around the time that both Brassfax and I were getting seriously interested in shooting. So, we flipped through it over some drinks to see which parts of the gun culture zeitgeist of 2014 have held up, and which ones are badly outdated. Let's talk about it.
Today's video is made possible by our erstwhile sponsor, Venture Surplus. Venture sells a wide selection of military surplus clothing and gear, mostly made in the US of A. If you're looking for an affordable way to gear up with high-quality camouflage or cold weather clothing, outdoor gear, or load-bearing equipment, Venture has you covered. They also sometimes have some peculiar items come down the MIC pipeline. Recently, they got in some police surplus ballistic helmets, and while I was clicking around to see the other weird stuff, I found these. Infrared laser aiming modules for the M203 underbarrel grenade launcher. There's gotta be like 2 people in the country who have night vision and an M203, and I'm sure it's one of you people. Check out Venture Surplus at the link in the video description and use the code provided to save 10% off your order. Thank you to Venture for sponsoring this show. Thank you guys for watching. Let's get back into it, and happy Halloween. Recoil magazine is probably the most hip of the printed gun rags. It's definitely not a legacy publication like Guns and Ammo or American Rifleman. Recoil only started in 2012, and most of its trajectory has been under the leadership of editor-in-chief Ian Harrison, who was brought on in 2013. Recoil is for the newer generation of gun enthusiasts, the magazine of choice for bearded men who like tits, bacon, whiskey, cigars, tattoos, and AR-15s in that order. Could this be an issue of Recoil magazine, the magazine favored by people who like whiskey, cigars, bacon, tattoos, and tits?
True American patriots.
Basically, any issue of Recoil you pick up should be a pretty good representation of contemporaneous enthusiast gun culture. For example, the most recent issue from October 2024 has a tactical lever action on the cover. I can't think of anything more 2024 than that. Enthusiast gun culture is what I think most people mean when they refer to gun culture 2.0. This is guns as a lifestyle.
And that's why I really think that gun culture 2.0 starts right about the time that the internet begins. Now, it's not just the internet. We also have the end of the Clinton assault weapons ban, so that there starts to be AR-15s on shelves again. AR-15s get innovated with again. A whole bunch of stuff starts to happen right around the year 2000. But that internet is really a pretty important thing.
What was going on in 2014? This issue hits all the highlights. The cover photo features one of the grayest men of all time, and just inside the cover is a comprehensive breakdown of what to buy if you want to steal that gray man look. The pages of this issue also abound with tactical pens, including an entire article on how to fight with a tactical pen, followed by a buyer's guide to tactical pens.
They're still doing pens?
Oh, get me a beer.
I'm drinking, man. I'm gonna drink about this.
And who could forget the other component of EDC culture run rampant, paracord bracelets. Something you won't see in this issue is M-LOK, because M-LOK was actually introduced in 2014. So most of the guns at this time are still sporting key mod and quad rails. Moving on to another W, who was around in 2014? Ian Harrison is doing a lot of the heavy lifting as editor-in-chief of Recoil, but also one of the primary contributors. Ian Harrison was formerly in the British Army. He was a regular on the History Channel show Top Shot, and at one point he even lived in Oregon, which makes him cool in my book. Another Recoil writer in this issue who I've met is Stephen Kuo, also a really cool guy and still a Recoil contributor to this day. Something I did not expect to find was not one but 2 articles written by Sebastian Gorka, a very odd figure who you might know as a political news commentator. Apparently, he also wrote for Recoil magazine in between his stints in counterterrorism and his time as an advisor to former WWE star Donald Trump. His article about the Nemo Precision Omen rifle chambered in 300 Win Mag starts with the usual pablum about how 5.56 is a poodle shooter cartridge. That's something you have to get used to when it comes to legacy gun writers. The first paragraph of every single article is going to be some of the most insipid shit you've ever read in your life, but after that they usually get a lot better. In my opinion, the articles that hold up the best are the interviews with industry figures, because they're not as immediately dated as product reviews. There's a good write-up in this issue about Marty Daniel, aka Mr. Defense himself. There's some cool stuff in here about how Daniel Defense was one of the first companies to actually market cold hammer forged barrels as a selling point, and Mr. Defense even talks about how he was inspired to create the tire tread grip and stock texture. Apparently his wife ran over the rubber mats he took out of his truck and was storing in the garage, and he thought it looked cool. Good to know we're still stuck with those 10 years later thanks to a woman moment. 2014 was a few years after Nuttin' Fancy came to prominence and a few years before Grand Thumb really took off, but it was just in time for Matt Best. That's actually why I grabbed this issue. Brassfax and I both watched a lot of Matt Best videos a decade ago, and the issue contains an interview with Matt about his military career and YouTube channel. Interestingly enough, this article was written shortly before Matt Best co-founded Black Rifle Coffee Company. He doesn't really do YouTube anymore because I assume he's simply too successful to waste his time here. I mean, you can buy BRCC coffee in Portland, Oregon, of all places, so they must be doing fine.
And this is still from his, what's that, Marsoc versus Ranger video?
That was a good-ass video.
One of the least dated product reviews is an article about the Noveske N4 Infidel rifle, which is mostly just because these guns never change. The Noveske N4 Infidel is a 13.7 AR with a pinned and welded flaming pig muzzle device on the end. A lot of this article is actually about what was going on with the company about a year after the death of John Noveske in mysterious circumstances that don't have anything to do with the FBI. The article also contains a little blurb about Thunder Ranch. Noveske and Thunder Ranch are both in southern Oregon, and at one time Noveske also made a Thunder Ranch Edition rifle, which is a 14.5 pin and weld very similar to their Afghan series. Out of the various companies who have made Thunder Ranch Special Edition rifles over the years, the Noveske was probably the coolest, and it was definitely the most expensive. For my money, the advertisements in these older magazines are almost more fun than the articles. Sometimes it's difficult to find information about when a product launched or what an early version of a product looked like.
What kind of magazine is this? Doesn't matter. Let's talk about cars. Whoa!
Babes!
That's one of the things we like. Tits!
Boobs.
2 decades of search engine optimization has made it impossible to find information online anymore, so maybe I need to start a collection of old gun mags and catalogs. There are some cool ads in here for new products, like Magpul's then fresh SL series of furniture, or Arrow's brand new, at the time, M4 and M5 enhanced uppers. There's also an ad for Streamlight advertising the new TLR1HL with a blinding 630 lumens. Like with most magazines, the ads get increasingly unhinged towards the final pages. The ads for the car stuff especially get chintzier, and the women get more scantily clad, culminating in a final image that is just too trashy to be respectable, but not salacious enough to qualify for Weapon Outfitters After Dark. And because Recoil really knows their audience, they spend almost as much of the page detailing the gun and gear breakdown as they do showing the model.
Surefire SOCOM muzzle brake. Why even tag it? It's off the page. Lower. Noveske General. They broke it up with lower and upper. This is a magazine for fucking nerds.
I've never really been a reader of gun magazines, and I suspect most of you haven't either. As much as GunTube has a reputation for being just a list of stuff you can buy, magazines are much worse. On top of the ads, there are also consumerist fluff pieces that are like shopper's guides. I see the same shit every time I flip through an issue of Wired. There's a lot more money going both directions in print media than on anything but maybe a handful of the largest YouTube gun channels. But on the other hand, I have been known to lament the death of gun writing, and I don't know of any strictly online publication that has actual articles written about guns with like syntax and grammar that require a 5th grade or better reading level. I know I'm a fucking nerd, but I still appreciate articles and videos that have gone beyond first draft quality. You can't get that stuff on YouTube, but you can still find it in the pages of Recoil or American Rifleman or who knows what else. Or you could go read them when they get posted online for free with adblock enabled. Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, check out the links in the video description. Also, if you want to watch Brassfax and I flip through this magazine a little bit more, I'll put some highlights together and upload them in a video for Subscribestar. I am now also very curious to find some magazines from the month I was born and check those out, probably also for a bonus video. See you guys next time.
Oh my god, it's coming out the other side. Ugh. Is it supposed to do that?
Yes, that's the whole point. It goes in one end, out the other.
You didn't just like laugh in the middle and ruin it?
That was not laughing. That was
Desperately trying not to fucking air drown.
ugh. I feel like that makes it worse.
Well, yeah, now your fucking head is full of water. That's the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.